We're in 1 Samuel 16. And the message of this verse to me is that God looks at your heart, unlike other people, right? And God knows your heart. And it doesn't matter what other people think. One, it doesn't matter because it's more important what God thinks of you, right? And where your heart is actually at. And your actions will reflect that. But sometimes even a good heart, good intentions, and you're on the right path, people will say, they'll judge you based on your actions. And they'll say that you're not godly, you're not being good, or there's something wrong with you, just based on your actions alone, right? But that's not always the case, right? Because not everyone's going to like what you have to say, or not everyone's going to like how you live. That's just the case, I'm sorry. You can be so obsessed with people's opinion of yourself, wanting to be a people pleaser. But there's something wrong in being a people pleaser because what is your drive? What is your motivation? Is your motivation to please other people? By definition, you're not pleasing God because you're focused on other people and what they think. And you're not being yourself, you're not being true to who you are or what you think. So in some sense, you're lying as well. You're not being honest. So starting in verse 7, God tells him that he has a king, right? And he tells him to go to Jesse, and one of Jesse's sons is going to be the next king, King David. So Samuel goes there. It's kind of funny that even like a prophet of God, he didn't have direct instructions. Like God knew, hey, it's Jesse's son. He could have said David, but God gave Samuel a mission. He entrusted him with it, right? He could have told him exactly who to go to. And Samuel obeyed, even though he didn't have all the information. Though God could have told him who it was. So he goes to him, and and Jesse is bringing out his sons, the older sons, the bigger sons, the ones that might be more king-like. But Samuel keeps saying, no, it's not this one, no, it's not this one. And of course, David is young, he's presumably small, doesn't seem like a king, right? But that's the one that God wants. There's a lesson in and of itself. So, this is the Lord talking, right? Because he looks at one of the sons who, I don't know, he must have just looked like a king. One of the sons that Jesse brought out. In verse 6, and he says, when they arrived, Samuel took one look at Eliab and thought, surely this is the Lord's anointed. But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And then later on, Samuel's like, is this all you have? Are these all your sons? And then Jesse's like, they're still the youngest, but he's out in the field watching the sheep and goats. And then God's like, this is the one I wanted, right? So his dad didn't even think he was fit to be a king. And Samuel probably wouldn't originally either. But the Lord says, don't judge by his appearance or height. Then he says, the Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance. But the Lord looks at the heart. I think we're afraid to say certain things, certain beliefs. We're afraid to live in a certain way because of other people, what other people think. But God says, I don't care. What I care about is your heart. What I care about is what's inside, what people don't necessarily see, right? And then not only is it important to not worry so much about what other people think because God says not to, but people don't care a lot. They'll care initially. Maybe you go dressed a certain way or you say something, and whether it's controversial or you do something weird, right? And people will have a reaction. But to be honest, after that, it doesn't last that long. They go on about their lives. They've got their own problems going on. They've got their own concerns. And I'm looking at my fish tank. It's pretty low. I need to do a water change or add more water. But they don't linger on it. And of course, in our head, we think, oh, their reaction or whatever, they're going to be thinking about this for a while. They don't. They've got their own things going on. They're not so concerned about you. Why should you be concerned about them and what they think of you? Because one, you shouldn't. Because God doesn't judge you based on what other people say. But even practically speaking, realistically, they're not going to care for that long, so it doesn't matter. Don't linger on it. Like even right now, I'm about to go to the gym, right? I'm hyped up. I've been listening to Pierce the Veil, and I'm ready to go push some weights. And I'm throwing on my clothes, and I end up wearing these camo pants that I've hunted in. They have a slight blood stain. It's not very noticeable from a deer. And I've got my button up on. I've got my shorts underneath. I've got my gym wear underneath. But yeah, like who wears camo pants, camo cargo pants with a dress shirt to go out? It's really cold out, but to go out to the gym, I mean, that's a weird combo in any scenario. And I was thinking, oh, this is an odd combo. They're comfy pants, but it shouldn't matter. I don't care what they think. I don't care what people think. Like, oh, camo and yeah, it doesn't match. But who cares if it matches, dude? I'm going to the gym. I'm taking it off when I get to the gym and hop in the sauna and go lift some weight. I'm not worried about that. I'm not concerned about that. But people seem to be so concerned about what they look like and all that stuff. And that translates to how you talk, what you believe. You hold these beliefs, you hold these opinions. But just like you care so much about what you look like and what you wear, that's going to translate to how you talk, what you believe, what you stand for. And you're going to be like, oh, I don't know if I should stand for this. I don't know if I should say this because it's just not going to be a good look for me. It's going to be unpopular. I might get some flack. And you just got to realize God doesn't care about what other people think. It doesn't matter. Even he's talking to a prophet. He doesn't even care what people in your church think or what people that are supposedly your elders think. Like, they have a place, right? Elders. But even here, God's talking to Samuel, a prophet. He's like, I don't care what you think. He says, I want David. He says, you look at the outward appearance. This prophet Samuel, right? Great prophet. He says, I don't care what you think. You just look at appearances. He says, I look at the heart. I look at what's inside. That's not the one. That's not the person. He's been rejected. I want David. So, and David didn't look the part, apparently. So I think we just need to realize that, man. And another thing in addition to that, right, is God does look at the heart. So what matters is what's inside. What do you linger on? What do you think about? What are your intentions? What are your motives? Do you have love in your heart or do you have hate in your heart? Okay? God cares about that stuff. The world cares about what you do and what you say and how you say it. And that's what they care about. That's all they're going to hear. They're not going to know whether you said something, if you did it out of like a moral conviction. They're not going to think about that. You guys, You can't be so concerned about how people react to what you say and how you live. You can't be so concerned about that because God's not. He cares about what's in your heart. So you do need to get your heart in check. And I think one way you can do this, and I've been doing this a lot recently, is just praying for the Lord to change your heart. Pray for Him to lead you in the right direction, to give you the right mindset, to give you things to be passionate about, and to get rid of the bad stuff that you shouldn't care about, that you shouldn't be involved with. I think even recently, me and my sister got into an argument, and it was because I said something like a month or two ago, and of course, women, they're going to bring up stuff that you don't even hardly remember that you said over and over, and I genuinely didn't remember. I was like, I don't think I said anything wrong, and in some sense, I didn't really say anything wrong, and my intentions were good. I even told her, I was like, I don't know what you're upset about. Like, I didn't say anything that was not true or bad. And I wasn't upset at the time. I'm not upset now. Let's just move forward. And she just kept pounding it and whatever. And I'm just like so confused because I don't even remember what it was hardly. So anyways, I didn't apologize because why apologize for something that you don't believe you're wrong in? And I stand true to that. I'm not going to apologize just to make someone happy. So then I asked a buddy who was there, trusted buddy, later on the next day. And he's like, well, I do remember that. And I was like, how did I, do you remember what I said or whatever? Because she's really upset about it. And then he remembered, yeah, it wasn't necessarily what you said. It was how you said it, that kind of came off direct. And he even said, I can be really direct sometimes. And that's a two-edged sword, right? Because it's like, I'm going to say things that need to be said. I'm going to be truthful to what I believe. Like a lot of people aren't doing. A lot of people out there are just talking small talk, saying things that are just milquetoast, that everyone can agree on. And it's like, they might not even believe that in their heart, right? But they just want to keep the peace. And they just want to, whatever. And, or maybe they don't even have any controversial opinions, or maybe they don't even believe in anything that's not mainstream, which is wrong to begin with, because a lot of the mainstream ideas and opinions are just not true or based in reality, but they're commonly held. So other people, as people, were like that herd mentality. Well, I'm just going to take this approach. I'm just going to believe in this because everyone else is. So anyways, it's a double-edged sword. It's like a blessing and a curse. Like sometimes I'm thankful for it. Sometimes I'm really thankful for it because I don't think twice. I just do. I act. I say. And it can lend itself to really good things, right? When we do that. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys watching that are similar. If they're just a masculine man, I feel like that's a hallmark of being a guy. Just being your true self and saying things that need to be said and doing things that need to be done. I feel like that's a masculine trait, right? But like everything, it's how you use it. It's when you use it. And it can be a double-edged sword. It's allowed me to do a lot of great things, to help people out, to speak up for someone else when they need it, right? I'll do that. I'll step in. I'll be, don't say that about them or whatever. Just like stuff like that. And rocking the boat when it needs to be rocked. But anyway, sometimes it's just inevitable. Like if you're like that, then there's going to be times when it would have been better to hold your tongue, right? The tongue is dangerous. It's hard to bridle. The scriptures talks about that. So there's times where, I definitely should just not say anything. And it's better to do that, right? So anyways, I was like, okay, shoot. So this was in the wake of me praying for the Lord to change my heart, praying for the Lord to help me be in the right and to do things that are right, and to not unnecessarily be involved in things I shouldn't or thoughts I shouldn't. So anywho, I was like, okay, well, and I told my buddy, I was like, well, if that's the case, I'm going to talk to her today. I'm going to, shoot her a text. And I just ended up calling her like a few minutes later. And I was like, you know what? I don't even remember it hardly, but apparently I could have said it better. Or I could have just not said it at all. and that might have been better. I mean, it was really hard not to, but there's a better way to do it, especially when you're dealing with females. You know, they're emotional, and they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives, and they're going to bring it up to you, or it's going to cause resentment. I don't know. That's just how they are. So I have sisters, like, I know how it is. But, so anywho, I called her up, and I apologized. Like, I was like, you know what? I could have done this better, and I'm sorry for that, and that wasn't the intention. And everything got smoothed over. Immediately got smoothed over, and we're back to where we were. And that's beautiful, because I have a great relationship with her. So anyways, bottom line is, there's this aspect of, you know, God looks at your heart, right? He says, the Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And the Lord looked at my heart. He knew my heart. And that's what's important. But like in this scenario, you know, I could have said it better. Or maybe my heart wasn't in the right place, and I'm calling God, I'm asking him in this prayer to fix me and to change things, right? And he does. And it worked out really well. So, there's that side of like, yeah, you got to be true to yourself. You got to speak up. It's a masculine trait to speak up, to hold opinions, even if they're not popular, to be who you're going to be. But your heart has to be in the right place. Your heart has to be in the right place, because God still looks at that, right? So, yeah, I'm willing to die on a hill. I'm willing to do all that, even if family is against it, even if, you know, people hate me for it or call me mean for it, right? Because that's just the way to go. Because, I mean, that's truth. If it's something you believe, it's worth standing for. But in a scenario like this, it's like, well, if I'm in the wrong, if you're in the wrong, you need to fess up to it. And it's a hard pill to swallow, man. It wasn't easy. It was a hard pill to swallow. But I fixed it, like, immediately. And I think that should be our approach, man. We're not infallible, you know? But yeah, the main message is just, you know, wear the camo pants with the dress shirt. That's okay. Who cares? Who cares what people think? And even if they think a certain way of you, it's probably not going to last long. 10 seconds later, they're going to be concerned about what they're going to eat tonight, whether or not they're going to go to the gym, what they're going to watch on Netflix, let's be honest, what they're going to, when are they going to get their phone out and start doom scrolling? They're going to be focused on their own life, their own things. They're not going to think that much about you. And you're going to be over here, like, 2 days later, like, oh man, wow. Like, they probably don't like me right now. They're probably upset at me. They're probably not, you know. And if you're wrong, like, maybe they have a right to be upset at you. But even if they are upset at you, they won't stay upset long, unless they're a woman, I guess. Whoops. Just realized that. But anyhow. So, yeah, pray for the Lord to change your heart. Pray because he looks at your heart. Pray for him to keep you accountable. And just know that's the only opinion that matters, man. The only opinion that matters is God's. It doesn't matter what your parents think of you, necessarily. Though their opinion matters more than some. They know you better. But what matters is what God thinks of you. Because only he knows your heart. Only he knows what's going on inside that head. Only he knows if you're being selfish. Only he knows that, you know, only he knows that you have this goal and this passion, and you're passionate about it, and you're direct about it, and you're trying to help people out, right? Like I'm trying to do. You're trying to, you know, do right. And sometimes it pisses people off and they get upset, right? And they say, oh, you're mean, oh, you're whatever. And God doesn't care about that, man. He doesn't care about what other people say about you. He cares about your heart. And if your heart is in the right place, best way to do that is just constantly be praying that God will affect your heart, that he'll mold your heart. And but if you're doing that, and he's doing that, which he's going to do it, right? And you just stay true to who you are and what you believe in. If your heart's in the right place, God, that's what God cares about, man. He doesn't care about what your popularity is. How many people in your circle, in your friend group, in your family, how many of them like you? Do they like you? I mean, that's ridiculous. Why does it matter if people like you? Now, if you're a man and you are standing firm in what you believe in and you've got those masculine traits, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people that like you. There's going to be other men that respect you. There's even going to be women, even if they don't hold your same opinions, they're going to respect you and appreciate you. Even if people can't agree, they can appreciate honesty and truth and a man who knows what he's about. So I guarantee you, you will be liked. But that should not matter. That really should not matter. I've gone through phases in my life. Where everyone in my circle liked me. Everyone. I mean, just like not a negative word. And that's like what I was known for. Like in college, you know. But in some sense, I look at myself in college and I'm like, dude, I didn't really stand up for what I believed in. I was kind of that people pleaser. I was kind of, you know, in some sense, I kind of did what I wanted to do. I wore sweatpants and I was a little bit in that direction, just kind of who I am. But, so I think people appreciated that. But there was many times where I could have spoken up. I could have been more of a man and I didn't. And that maybe is what resulted in more people appreciating me, more people liking me. I ended up being an RA at like pretty young. I went to college when I was like, I was like just turned 17. And then I ended up being, not that year, maybe it was the next year, ended up being I don't know actually when it was, to be honest. But I ended up being an RA and like all of my floor was like, like so much older than me, and I was like the youngest guy on campus almost. So, but anyways, it's like, and that was interesting of itself. So more people liked me, and maybe that's why I got that position. But who cares, man? Who cares? Like, who cares if people like you? People are not going to like you. That's just how it is. What matters is what God thinks about you. What God thinks about you. Is your heart in the right place? Are you reading the scriptures? Are you praying? Are you owning up to your mistakes? Right? But then after that, don't worry about if people react positively to what you believe and your opinions. They are what they are, man. What you want, what you feel, what you think, they are what they are. Especially if you're praying about it. And that's it, man. I'm like preaching to myself right now. I'm kind of getting fired up. And that's all that matters. So I've gone through phases where everyone liked me and I was a people pleaser. And I've gone through phases where as I gradually, you know, start to align myself with the word, start to align myself with truth and what I believe, that I'm starting to piss some people off. People in my life, right? Surprisingly, not a lot, because I got a lot of friends that think this way, that are this way. Men, real freaking men, not like some soy boys, right? So I think I get more respected for it, and I have closer relationships with those guys, you know, because of that. But there's definitely phases in my life where just people like see me as evil, man. People don't like me. People that before, like, we were buds and we were friends and we would go play pickleball together and we would do all this stuff and it was all okay, right? But people can shift on a dime. And that was like a tough experience. That's a tough pill to swallow, right? When you act how you want to act and you are who you are, it's like you can look in your heart and be confused and you're like, well, shoot, I don't know where my heart is wrong. And if, like in the instance with my sister, if you find out you're wrong, go fix it. But if you're not wrong, then don't. Don't fix it. There's nothing to be fixed. There's nothing to be fixed. And you know what? You lose some people on the way. You lose some friends along the way. But that's just how it is, man. Every great leader, even if they're loved by a lot, they're hated by a lot. That's what makes them a leader. They got to do things that people don't like. If everyone was entirely on board and everyone thought that this is the way we're going to do it, if there was a complete consensus, right? then we wouldn't need leaders. We wouldn't need leaders that have power to say, no, this is how we're going to do it. No, this is the right way. So part of being a man and part of being a leader is standing up for what you believe in. If your heart is in the right place and you do something and you upset people, don't bend the knee. Don't apologize. If your heart is in the right place, that's the key. Because God cares about your heart. That's what he cares about. That's all he cares about. So, stay in the Word.